Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here and it's time for a book haul. This is a really special book haul because I had a really particularly special week. Last Thursday I got the chance to meet up with one of my favourite booktubers, Stephanie from Time to Read. I'll leave her channel link down below. She's an American booktuber and I never thought I'd get the chance to meet her, but she's been doing a holiday, a tour of different European countries, and it just so happened that she was in London last week and I managed to get a babysitter, and so I went up and met her and her lovely friend for some book shopping. So we went to quite a few exciting shops and bought quite a few books. Shops included Foyles, the Charing Cross shop, which is the huge flagship foil store, which is beautiful. We also went to the London Book Review bookshop. We went to Persephone. And we also went to Forbidden Planet, and I'm sure there's probably a few others that we dipped into, but we went into all of those and I bought a few books there. Then on Saturday, so 2 days later, there was a big booktuber meetup in London organised by Kirsty from Kirsty on Books and Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings, which I will leave the links down below, and they're so lovely. I love them, they're so wonderful, and it was such a great time. I met loads of my favourite booktubers and girls that I chat to all the time. I met Caitlin from Kitty G, who I absolutely adore and I love doing buddy reads with. She's great for anything sci-fi and fantasy. I met Mercedes, who's wonderful, and Kirsty, who's wonderful, and then there was Jen Campbell, whose channel is Jen Campbell of the same name, and she is just wonderful and she knows exactly where to go to buy books. And then there was Lauren from Reads and Daydreams, and Holly from Library at the Edge of the World, and so many other wonderful booktubers who, Charlotte from Ramblings of an Elfire. Oh, there was just so many, and a couple of people that I hadn't met and didn't know their channel, so I now have some new people to look out for. So I'll try and link as many people as I can down below so that you can check out their channels. But we also went to all of the same shops, funnily enough, but just in a backward order. And in addition, we also went to the British Library bookshop. So I picked up some more books from some of the bookshops there. So I have quite a lot of books to show you. I also picked up 2 or 3 books this month on recommendation, but that is it for July. I am really trying now. I want to start making a dent because it's making me feel a little bit anxious how many books I've got. So I think we're going to slow the roll and start reading them now. Firstly, I'm going to show you the books that I got from Persephone. Now, Persephone isn't a particular publisher that I would necessarily gravitate towards. The books they're adult fiction books, but they're books written mainly, I think, the majority by women, and they sort of pick forgotten authors or people that they think should get more recognition. And they're beautiful books. They're all covered in grey covers, and then they have grey end papers with a matching bookmark. And I've always seen them on Kirsty's channel particularly, and Mercedes loves them too. But I've always thought that the stories, they tend to be a lot more sort of character driven and a slower read rather than what I tend to enjoy, which is a bit more of a plot driven fast paced book. But I wanted to give them a go, and they are so beautiful. So I spoke to the lady in the shop and I asked her for their most fast paced book. So I picked up one fast paced book, and then also one that I've heard quite a lot about, and one that is written by an author that I love the children's book for. So anyway, let me show you what I got. The first one is called Still Missing by Beth Gutchen. Can you see that there? Still Missing by Beth Gutchen. So this is the grey, and then they have beautiful end papers, and they're all different, and this one comes with the matching bookmark. They're beautiful books, and I've been told that this one, because they don't really give you synopses in the shop, but I've been told this one is about sort of more of a thriller about a boy that's kidnapped. Yeah, so I'm interested to give this one a go. And then the second one I picked up is The Making of a Marchioness by Frances Hodgson Burnett, who is the person that wrote The Secret Garden. So I'm excited to read this. I have heard from people there's sort of 2 parts or 2 stories to this, sort of a main and a sequel, and I have heard from some people that they enjoyed one and not the other, so I'll be intrigued to give this a go. I've also learnt from Kirsty told me that there is an adaptation, maybe a BBC adaptation that was done for the TV for this, so once I've read it I might check that one out too. So the end papers on this one are particularly beautiful with flowers, which I really like, and you get the matching bookmark. So I'm going to give those 2 a go, and there'll be some out of comfort zone books to try at some point. When I was in Foyles with Stephanie and her friend, I picked up just 2 books that I've been having my eye on. One is Ink and Bone by Rachel Caine. I love Rachel Caine's Morganville Vampire series. I've read all of the books in that, and this one sounds really intriguing. The plot summary is it's as if the Great Library of Alexandria wasn't destroyed, so knowledge now rules the world and is freely available. So it just sounds very interesting and booky. And then a book that I've been wanting to read for ages and thought, right, now is the time to pick up, and that is Splintered by A.J. Howard. I've heard a lot of people talk about this, and I believe it's a trilogy, and all 3 books are now out, so if I do enjoy it I can marathon it, and I believe it's sort of Alice in Wonderland inspired, so that makes me very excited, and it is just such a beautiful cover. It's such a beautiful cover, so I'm excited about that one. Next is the Forbidden Planet books that I picked up. I have got this next book on Kindle. I picked it up, but I'm struggling to read my Kindle books at the moment, and I don't know why. I'm just enjoying a proper physical book. So when I noticed that these were £1.99 each, I thought I'll pick them up. So the first one is Girl Genius, and this is Phil and Kaja Foglio. It's a Hugo Award-winning author, and I believe there may have been a webcomic for this. I think I heard that on Gwendolyn Reading Methods channel, that there's sort of a webcomic and now they've turned it into a book. I think it's a bit steampunky, something a little bit out of my comfort zone, but something I've wanted to try. And they had that one, and then they had the second book in the series, which is Girl Genius. This is Agatha H and the Clockwork Princess, and this was £1.99, as you can see on my sticker too. So I picked that one up because £1.99, and if I like them, I've got them both there. And then when I was out on Saturday with the lovely Booktubers, Elizabeth from Books and Pieces, whose channel I absolutely adore. She always does some really creative videos, and I love it when she dresses up. It's great. I asked her to recommend me. I was going to buy one more book, and I wanted a recommendation, something that I wouldn't have picked up myself, something that wasn't on my wish list. And she recommended to me Neuromancer by William Gibson. She said this is a really good book to read. She said it was written by Gibson at a time when computers didn't exist, and so what he wrote was really quite inspired. And I have got one of his other books I picked up more recently called, I think it's called Peripheral, but this one is one I haven't read, and I think it's sort of, you know, a classic that a lot of people that like science fiction have read. So yeah, if you've read this, let me know your thoughts on it, because I'm intrigued to give it a go. You may have noticed last month or the month before I read a book by Cameron Hurley called God's War, and I really enjoyed it. It was a sort of science fiction fantasy book set in a world where bugs sort of powered everything, and were food and buildings and ammunition, and it was just very, very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good fast-paced book, and so I couldn't help myself, and I picked up number 2 in the series, which is Infidel, and number 3 in the series, which is Rapture, and I can't wait to get to these because I really enjoyed these, and they're really good, fun, fast-paced books. And the last book I picked up is one that I've had on my wish list for quite a while, and I saw it had some money off, and so I thought I would pick it up, and that is Secret by Lindsay Smith. I don't know an awful lot about this, so I'll read you the back. Yulia knows she must hide her thoughts and control her emotions to survive in communist Russia, especially because she is able to read the minds of people she touches. But Yulia better watch out. Russia's powerful spy agency, the KGB, is recruiting young people with mind-reading abilities for their psychic espionage team. Their mission: protect the Soviet space program from American spies. When Yulia is captured by the KGB and forced to work as a spy, she's thrust into a world of suspicion, deceit, and horrifying power. It's up to Yulia to just survive on her own wits and abilities, because this is a world where no secret can stay hidden for longer. So that sounds really exciting to me, and I know there's a sequel out. I think it's called Scandal, and I think I've seen this on Ginger Reads Lainey's channel quite a lot, and she really liked it, so I'm definitely excited about this one. Now on Saturday we managed to go to my very favourite secondhand bookshop, and that is Scoob, and I love it in there. I always manage to find a bargain and some really, really good books, and often quite a lot of ARCs. So the first book I picked up in there was called The Spirit Eater by Rachel Aaron. This is the third book in the Legend of Ellie Mompress. I have book 1 and now I have book 3. I'm sort of going to build up a collection. If you didn't know, Rachel Aaron's other name is Rachel Back. She wrote The Fortune's Pawn. I can't go on about it again, but I love, 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 love it. So this is her fantasy series. So I'm going to try and find book 2 eventually if I can get it cheap, and then I'll have the first 3 to sort of get going with. Next is a book. This is obviously not the actual front cover because it's an ARC, but it's called The Girl in the Red Coat, and this sounds really interesting. This is about a woman who is newly single with an 8-year-old daughter who is a little bit strange, and they go to a carnival one day and a man kidnaps the 8-year-old girl, and we follow both the mother in her search for the daughter and also the daughter and this life she has with a man who thinks that she is some sort of saviour maybe. It sounds a bit disturbing, but one that I definitely want to give a go. Next is a book that you've probably seen all over Booktube, especially if you're into YA books, and that is Conversion by Catherine Howe. It's about a town where kids in the final year of high school start sort of doing weird things, and yeah, from what I can gather, it's sort of a crucible retelling in a modern day setting along those lines. I don't want to read too much because I'm quite enjoying going into books not knowing too much about the plot at the moment, so that's that one. And just 2 more from Scoob. The first one is At the Water's Edge by Sarah Gruen. I actually didn't even read the back of this one because I loved Water for Elephants and Ape House, which Sarah Gruen wrote so much that I just thought, I'm just going to pick this one up. So I'm excited for this one. And then the final one I picked up is Influx by Daniel Suarez. And the reason I picked this one up was because the blurb says, a legitimate heir to Michael Crichton. Well, Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park and I absolutely love his books. So this sounds brilliant. Let me read you the back. Change is dangerous, technology lethal, so what if our civilization is more advanced than we know? Particle physicist John Grady is ecstatic when his team achieves a major breakthrough, a device that can reflect gravity. Their research will revolutionise the field of physics, but at Grady's moment of triumph, his lab is locked down by a shadowy organisation whose mission is to prevent the social upheaval caused by sudden technological advances they'd use to regain total command. They are living in a future we were promised. Now Grady finds himself in a nightmarish high-tech prison built to hold other rebellious geniuses. Can he and his fellow prisoners escape? And even if they can, is it possible to defeat an enemy that wields a technological advantage half a century in the making? It just sounds really good. Prison Break. So that's the books that I bought on my 2 book crawls this week, and then I bought 3 books this month which were just sort of books that I picked up randomly. The first is Jeanette Winterstone's Stone Gods. Really liked her book Orange is Not the Only Fruit, and I think this is more of a sort of science fiction type story, so I'm excited to try this one out. In my local charity shop, I found a proof copy of Because You'll Never Meet Me by Leah Thomas, which I believe is a story of 2 young boys who don't leave the house for whatever reason and meet each other via the internet, possibly, and their sort of story. I think it's a YA contemporary book, and I've heard about a few people enjoying it, so I wanted to give it a go when I saw it. And then finally is a book that was recommended by Vanessa Butino on her channel, and she said if you like Cranford or Downton Abbey you're going to love this. And I'm generally not one for war books, but I do like a good family like saga, and so I picked up The Storm of War by Kate Williams, and I managed to get this really cheap online, so I couldn't resist, and it's sort of a family saga set over the war. What more could you ask for? So that's all the books that I bought in the sort of towards the end of July. I'm hoping that is it for a bit now. Well, I say hope, surely I have control over this, but we all know that I haven't got control over myself. So I am going to try really hard because I need to save some money now for the end of the year. So yeah, all in all, I did quite well because none of these were that expensive. I managed to get them on sale or online at a really cheap discount, or for $1.99 for a couple of them. So I'm not too angry at myself, and I'm really excited about the ones that I've picked. So have you read any of these? What are your thoughts on them? Let me know, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, Booktube.